Hey party patrons, today we're going to be drafting kick pleats. Okay, so I have my dot paper. I have folded it in half because we're going to need two of these, a left back and a right back. I have traced my back block, or the back skirt of my block, and this is my center back, my sew line. Remember, we added 1/2 inch seam allowance to my center back. And our hem allowance is 2 inches. And we're going to keep that for this skirt. When you trace out your block, leave a couple of inches where you want your kick pleat to be, because we're going to be extending this. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and extend the hem and the hem allowance. And then I'm going to add 2 inches from the center back, or whatever sew line you're using. You could add this to your side seam if it's relatively straight. You can add it to your center front. So this is 2 inches here, sew line to this edge. And then I'm going to add another 1/2 inch, which is going to be your seam allowance. And I'm going to show you how this becomes assembled in a minute. At this point, we're going to decide how high the slit is going to go. Now, remember, my notches are here, and this was the 7-inch zipper. So this is like right at the kind of at the bottom of my butt. And so technically, I wouldn't want to go all the way up because that's risque. But you as the designer, you get to decide how long of a slit you want. Let's say I want to do mine 5 inches. That is risque, but this is just a demo, okay? So 5 inches along the sew line. And then typically, when you see the backs of these pencil skirts and when you see the backs of blazers, you'll see, here's the skirt and here's the center back seam, and you see that top stitching like that. That's what you're designing right now. So whatever angle you want it to look like, that's up to you. I've seen some steep ones. They look a little weird sometimes when they're a little too steep, but like also wide, But this is up to you. I'm going to do something like that. Do I know what angle that is? No, I do not. It's just the angle I think will look best. And then we're going to add a seam allowance. Okay. This is your sew line. And this is your sew line. Okay. Just for clarity's sake, I'm going to erase this. This is just kind of like a dash line because we're going to fold it here, but we're not going to sew here. When we sew it, we're going to sew down your center back. And then we're going to sew this like that. Okay? And you can overlock these edges. You can bias bind these edges. You can fold and fold, whatever you want to do. But this is your edge, finished edge here. Now I'm going to show you how you're going to sew it. So let's cut this out. I'm just cutting this off. Let's pretend, the rest of the skirt is up here, And then I'm gonna notch the hem. Okay, so you have your two skirt pieces. This is the wrong side. This is the right side. This is also the right side, okay? So I've sewn along the center back with my staples. I've sewn ½ inch, this is your seam allowance. I've sewn this diagonal. And then that's it, okay? You're gonna finish these edges, center back, along this top, and along this edge, okay? Separately, okay? Whether that's overlocking or some sort of bias binding. So after you've sewn this, what you're gonna do is fold this. Same on the other side. And then you're gonna sew up your hem. You know, that's what their notches are for. And that's just going to be folded. Okay. So when you open your skirt, okay, this is your center back and it's sewn here. And everything is pressed super clean, okay? And on the surface, it looks like nothing, but you have this slit. Okay, so this top part is sewn, and what's good is, you know, to tack all your layers together on the underside is to go in and top stitch, you know, something like that. Again, you designed this angle, but yeah, that's it. This is folded in so that it's a clean finish. This is folded in so it's a clean finish. Everything here just looks super clean and neat. You could have also finished this edge with bias binding also. Okay, that's it. You can also do it the other way. Like I've seen jackets where, you know, they come on the sides and one's going this way and one's going that way, you know, so the direction of this doesn't matter. It's up to you. That's it. This is like one of those things that seems complicated, but when you're shown how to do it, it's like, it's a little bit later, like when I'm going to show you how to do the house placket. Now, one little tip. I love me some oak tag. Where's my ruler? Take some time to mark the most precise and accurate 90-degree angle and cut it beautifully. And you're going to make yourself a pressing template out of this oak tag. If you don't have oak tag, just go get yourself some manila folders at Office Max or Office Depot or wherever, because same stuff, same material. You don't want to get illustration board for this because you want something that's going to be really thin, but also stiff. And what I like to do with this is use this as a pressing template. So when I need to go in here and, you know, go in here when I'm at the machine and just use this template to press really clean and then get that real sharp edge, which is why I don't like using thicker boards, because then it'll prevent that real crisp edge on the fold. And then this has come up. I mean, we could also do this sort of thing, but whatever, right? Put this in, and get that beautiful, crisp 90-degree. Steam it. Bam. Take this out. Looks beautiful and crisp. Same on the other side. This one is even more important because it's the one that's on the outside. But you use a pressing template like this with a perfect 90-degree angle, and that corner is going to be so crisp, so beautiful. Bam. Okay. I love me a pressing template to get the shapes just right. I use pressing templates for patch pockets also. Like, even if it's just a simple square, you know, you end up doing the square, or if you're doing a jeans pocket, you're doing this sort of thing, right? And you add your seam allowance here, 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 here. But when you make this, you make it to be the size you want it, right? The exact shape and size you want it without the seam allowance. And then you fold all the insides, the seam allowances of your patch pocket in. You slide your pressing template in, and then you iron it down to get those crisp edges and corners of your pocket before you sew it down to your skirt or shirt or what have you, okay? I do this with patch pockets, pocket flaps for well pockets, bellows pockets. Anytime I want that fresh look, I do it for the corners of collars on a shirt, okay? So, little trick. And that's your miter vent / kick pleat. Hey party patrons, I filmed and edited the whole video, and then I realized that I forgot to address interfacing. All right, let's talk about interfacing. Whenever you are cutting interfacing, like let's say you're doing a shirt collar and that's your pattern piece, and you want to interface the whole thing, you always want to actually trim off about 1/8 of an inch all the way around so that you have some wiggle room when you're pressing it, so that none of the interfacing kind of like leaks out, okay? Because it's not really stable fabric by itself, okay? And even if you were to only partially do fusing, like let's say you have a pocket and you're only going to fuse the top, you would still do 1/8 of an inch in on the sides that you want to, and then just cut it off wherever you're going to stop fusing, interfacing, whatever, right? It's late and I'm shooting this. Oh my God. Technical difficulties. Okay. So we're here, right? This is where we left off. You want to interface the hem, especially if you want that really crisp, tailored look, okay? Give it some structure on coats, that sort of thing. And you want the interfacing to go into this fold so that when you fold up the hem, that bottom is really getting the structure that the interfacing is providing, okay? So you're gonna fuse all of this, and we're gonna go in about 1/2 inch into the fold. But you're also going to be 1/8 of an inch down. You know, 1/8 of an inch in. And yeah, you are going to notch your interfacing as well. So you're going to cut yourself a piece from a different piece of dot paper. You're going to make a fresh pattern piece that's going to be 1/8 of an inch smaller here and here and here, and then 1/2 inch into past the fold, so that when you fold this up, you're not going to see any interfacing whether or not you line the inside of this skirt. It's going to give that fold the structure, the hem is going to get some structure, all those good things. Now if you're lining this whole thing and you want to give the mitered vent some structure, you can also add, okay, like it's still gonna be, you know, white on white. You could do a piece here. I would go 1/4 inch past the fold so that the structure of the fold, this fold, get some of that interfacing. Okay, and then of course 1/8 of an inch from the edge, like that. Okay, so you can do an L-shaped piece, or you could do one long piece and this short stubby piece. You know, that'll help you lay out a better marker. Okay, this is your grain line, so this is your grain line, and this is your grain line on the interfacing for that cross grain structure. Now, if you are not lining this skirt, you don't want interfacing here. It's going to be so ugly. Okay, but if you do want a bit of structure, you can just interface this back piece instead. Because remember, once we folded this, we have top stitched this piece down to tack down all the layers, right, on the other side. And so you'll never be able to, like, I mean, not never, but it's not like you can lift up all these things. You know, that interfacing here is going to be hidden because you folded everything down, right? It's all going to be in here, okay? So, again, it's going to be smaller, smaller, and then go a bit into the fold to give the fold structure so that this fold has the structure of the interfacing in it a little bit. Okay? You might be thinking, oh, it's going to be really obvious where the interfacing ends because it's going to be super straight and solid and wonky wobbly without the interfacing. See, that's a matter of matching the correct interfacing to the fabric. Okay? You don't want something that's too structured for the fabric that you're using. Okay? They should mesh and blend in well while providing a little bit of structure, okay? It's not, like, you really shouldn't look like a brick with, like, you know, with a piece of chiffon wrapped over it, okay? Something that works well together and doesn't create this weird line where on the outside you can see the crease of the interfacing because it's so thick for your base fabric. Again, drop me all your questions below, and I'll see you in the next video.